to the Unleash Greatness podcast with your host, Jonathan Mitchell. The best in personal, emotional, spiritual, and business development.
Hey you guys, it is I, Jonathan Mitchell. Today is MBA Musings Day on Unleash Greatness. Thank you once again for joining us. If you want to hear more or see more about what we do with Unleash Greatness, go to unleashg.com for more podcasts, blogs, tips, whatever. There's lots of shenanigans there for you to enjoy if you'd like to. This show is sponsored by naturalmedicinemamas.com for any help, advice, assistance, products around natural and alternative health products. They have some amazing stuff there. Please go check it out. I've used a lot of their stuff. They have stuff for kids, for sickness stuff, for anxiety, for whatever. It's a bunch of good stuff there. And once again, just want to make sure you know, Unleash Greatness focuses around health, wealth, relationships, and perfect self-expression. Today is Tuesday, where I usually like to talk about my MBA experience and hopefully inspire some people out there with learning or whatever kind of stuff you do. So anyways, here we go. Thank you so much. Let's do it. Hey guys, okay, so if you are new to the show, which hopefully you have been listening in for a while, but if you're new, welcome. So today is what's called MBA Musings Day. So through the week, we have Mondays are interviews, Tuesdays are my MBA Musings, where I just talk about my MBA experience, and I'll probably have some people on with me from my group to talk about their experience too. And then also Wednesday is book reviews. Thursday is story time, where I find either stories from friends or stories from online that I think are inspiring. And then lastly is Friday, which is Spiel Day, which I just get to talk about subjects that I feel prompted to talk about. So today is MBA Musings Day. I want to talk about my experiences last week. I mentioned last week that this semester I'm going through right now, currently, we go through several classes in a 4-month period, and this first month we have both a statistics and Excel class where we use how to use Excel and find data inside of companies, whether it's money or people or time or whatever data you have, and knowing how to use Excel to show what the data means, which again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because it wouldn't make any sense on an audio platform without being able to show you. But it's an incredible class, a lot of good information. Excel has some powerful tools. If you have anything with data, if you do anything with sales or numbers, Excel would be an incredible tool for you to learn how to do, which is awesome. Next, the other class we're taking right now is the one I extremely passionate about because I have a background in it, I have education in it, and that is leadership and then group development, how to lead groups. And last week we talked about, the importance of making wise decisions and how do you make decisions. So this week she talked about a little bit more in depth about decision making and how do you make those decisions. And then the other part we went over was experimentation inside of your own company, your own job, in your life, and how willing are you to experiment. So let's just talk about the decision thing one more time. The professor pointed out that decisions are made, like there's a balance between intuition and data. And sometimes like left brain people or right brain people who are left brain are more logical, more numbers, that kind of thing. And so they rely heavily on data. And then people who are more right brained are more of kind of intuition and feel things out and not as much data. And the balance or the best decisions are made when you marry the two together. So you have intuition with data. That way you can have the ability to make the best decisions for you and being open to options that you wouldn't have been open to before. And the question to always ask, which she pounded into us this last week, was always be willing to ask, is this the best way possible? And is this the most data we can collect around this information? And to ask the questions, not only is the data from what is successful, as an example, like saying, this is how successful people do this job. You also want to look at, here's how not successful people do this job. You want to have both collections of data to say, here what doesn't work, here is what does work, and we're going to put them together so we can make an intelligent decision. I found that very interesting because in life coaching, when we go through life coaching certifications and training, some people that train you focus only on what is success. So they say, don't worry about what is not successful, just do what is successful. Do what other successful people do. which I can understand the wisdom behind it. Like, again, Arnold Schwarzenegger with bodybuilding, if you do exactly what he does, more than likely you have success faster because you're following in the steps of success. But her point was, it's not a full collection of data of being able to make a decision for anything, whether it's health or business or jobs or relationships, if you don't always look at the other side of what is not successful. What do people do that is not going to work? So you can help identify the best course of action. Again, as an example with bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the people who are not like him or people who are not willing to do that are doing, like, they're sitting on the couch all day long watching TV. Like, it's just important to look at the data, what they eat, what they do, and the results they get versus what Arnold did and what he ate and how he exercised versus what he got results-wise. Which, again, I find very interesting because in the life self-development world, they focus strictly on success as opposed to both sides. So I think in any decision you make, jobs, relationships, you always want to look at both sides of the coin of what is successful and what's not successful. Next is experimentation. So the experiments obviously was talking about how do you experiment at your work. This was specifically applied to the groups that you're working with to see how one group works versus another and how you approach that group, and just being very aware of how your influence, like me as a person, if I walk into a business just because I am there or because of my role, my personality, everything about me will change that environment because of just me being in it. And being aware of your influence, number one, and number two, having a way to experiment with your influence both in and outside of an organization. So, as an example, it's like taking like your own business. You say, okay, let's experiment with something. Let's just see how this group does. Let's just say I'll take half my team and we're going to have them do this customer service way instead of the way we have been doing it. And the other side of the team is just going to do it the way we've been doing it. Or you do, hey, we're going to do a reward system for my employees, which was, we'll do a reward system where half the employees get this type of reward system and the other half get this. You pick the employees randomly, put them into a group, and just see how they respond to it, which is very interesting. The other side of it, too, was applying it more to this world where you can apply it to health, wealth, relationships, and self-expression, is being willing to experiment in any part of your life. I think there's a lot of times, people talk about the power of habits, which I think is obviously crucial, and you need to have habits to reinforce your behavior and to have success and to build momentum. On the other side of the coin, though, there's also a piece of experimentation to help you find the best way possible to do something. So last week in the Spiel Day, I talked about creation and abundance and that kind of thing, and it came from a friend of mine who was a graphic designer. And he said that when designing something, they experiment and they fail 95 times out of 100, but they're looking for the 5 times that works and the 5 best designs they can get. But their expectation is they're going to fail a lot more, 10 times more than they'll succeed. And the teacher in class today brought up that same thing with experiments with groups. When you're trying to do training or HR type things or creating a new company or whatever it is, that you have to be willing to accept failure more often than success. And having the space around you where you have permission for people to fail. So the question is for you is, in your own life, your family, your relationships, your friends, your business, your work, whatever it is, your health, are you willing to experiment with what you do, and are you willing to fail to find the best and highest and most successful way possible? I found there's a huge takeaway because I think for myself, I at times play it safe, and I think we all do here to there. And anytime I feel myself doing that, I always feel, again, the nudge to go, I need to push myself. I need to go to the next level. So again, coming back to decisions, are you willing to look at both the data of what is working and then what is not working? And then with experimentation, look in your life and just say, am I willing to experiment with how I do things right now in this part of my life? As an example, again, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. Let's just talk about spirituality. Maybe you're someone who prays a lot but never really meditated. Maybe you're someone who meditates a lot but doesn't do a lot of reading of inspiring works from whoever it might be, from the Bible to Krishna to the Buddhist readings to whatever. Like, are you willing to expand your mind in that way? Or health? Are you willing to do a different type of working out regimen with your relationships? Are you willing to try something different to make something happen? As an example, I have someone very, very close to me who is a teacher and was having issues with being able to resolve conflict with students who were caught cheating. And so they came to me and said, hey, this is a situation that keeps coming up, and it seems to go downhill fast because it's a very delicate subject to have a conversation with a kid and their parents about the kid cheating, especially nowadays because, which is a different subject I'll get into, but teachers have a lot of pressure to make sure people doing things the right way, and sometimes it's not the teacher's fault, it's how the student does things. I'm not going to get in that soapbox right now, but point is that teachers are under a lot of pressure to make sure that students perform well. So this friend of mine kept going back to people and trying to have these conversations about having, conflict resolved. And so I just gave the steps of having to resolve conflict, which comes from the book Crucial Conversations, and I'll do a book review on that probably next week. But the point is being able to say something upfront before a hard conversation. This is what I want to have happen in this conversation. This is what I don't want to have happen. My purpose and what the goal is for this conversation is to have this result where we can find out, the best way I can help you. And they just came to me the other day and said, this is working so well. It's so much more smoother and people are responding a lot better. Whereas before, and the person I'm talking about is a very aware person, very emotionally intelligent, but just didn't have the tools to use to become, to get the results they're looking for. So that is an example of experimenting, being willing to look at an area of your life that may not be getting the results that you're wanting to get, or, something that is not necessarily a bad place or a negative response, but you just want it to be better. Are you willing to experiment to try something new? My challenge is to you with making decisions like buying a house or a job or dating somebody or a new workout regimen or what to do with your money or whatever, is to look at not just what works or what is good about that person, that house, that investment portfolio, that whatever the thing is, but also look at the other side of the data, which is bad. What would not work about this house, this person, this investment vehicle, this whatever. Look at both sides of the data so you can help yourself create and find and make the better decisions for you to have success. Secondly, my challenges to you is to find a way or be open to experimenting with your own life, whether that's in your relationships. Are you willing to experiment to make your relationships better? And sometimes you'll fail, which again, you'll need to make sure the people you're experimenting with know that you're trying something new. I'm going to experiment with you. Or with your money. Are you willing to experiment in a good way? Again, use the decision-making process, find what's good or what's bad, and then experiment, try something new. Or with your job or with your kids or whoever. Being willing to be open to other possibilities, trying something new, and then finding what works. And also with that, if I may add, be okay with failing, because like Thomas Edison said, all you're doing is finding the other ways that don't work that helps you become better and get closer to what does work. Hope today has been a little bit inspiring for you. And again, love being able to share with you what I've been learning in the MBA process. It's going to be changing here next couple of weeks when I have new classes coming up. And just want to again say thank you so much for the University of Utah for letting me be a part of their program. Amazing job. The professors are great. And just very, very grateful to be a part of it. So anyways, this is Unleash Greatness. Tune in tomorrow for a book review. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.